Hello guys, welcome back to another Linktree video. In this one we're going to be doing some in-depth stock analysis on Johnson & Johnson, ticker JNJ. Reason for this is, as the market has been selling off so heavily today, a lot of stocks have been coming into zones. I mean, if you're in my Discord, you would have seen how many alerts I sent through in the chat. I think I had about 20 or 15 pop off just today alone. So it has provided some good buying opportunities today, and that's why I stacked up on a lot of stocks on both the small account challenge and other portfolios. To get straight into it, the main one that kind of stood out to me today was Johnson & Johnson, and one I got in quite heavily because it's stock I quite like long term. So whether you're looking to kind of more day trade it or swing trade it, it has come into good levels as of now. So firstly, we will kind of plot this 156.75 and 156 because that is the second deviation. They're very close together, and that is where we would be looking for a bounce. And as you can see, intraday came and did the first bounce at the 156.75, but then ended up failing and pushing down near market close and coming into the 156 level. So firstly, yeah, this is kind of where we would consider it a low risk long. So getting in anywhere below 156.75 is considered a good price, whether you're looking for like a short term swing investment, and those are more the key levels you'll be looking more to day trade if you're looking at them on the day. Now, firstly, we will look, is there any gaps that need to be filled, because more likely than not, gaps do get filled. So they're a good way to be using as price targets. I don't personally trade of them or using them for entries, but I do use them as areas to be looking at profits. And looking straight back at this, we'll quickly go back in the chart, and it doesn't really look like there's any clear gaps. I guess we have one up around this 177. But apart from that, we don't really have any gaps to be looking at, and both of these targets are very far away, especially on a stock like Johnson & Johnson that isn't super volatile. So they probably won't come into play unless you're looking at them more from an investment standpoint. So back to the standard deviations, obviously we've already plotted this 156 and the 156.75, and these are low risk longs and where I personally got in today. Now from here we would expect a bounce, and we would have kind of a first main target of 160. Obviously that isn't that big of a move, so we would have one at 162, 165 and 169 will kind of be those key areas. 156 and 165 is where we would look at the majority of the profit. Reason for that is when you come in the statistical mean, as we would be on the 4 hour, from there direction is unclear, so it makes sense usually to be locking in the profits out unless you're looking more for an investment, because your risk just increases without really any reward or much reward to match it. So yeah, once we come into 165 to 170, it's kind of unclear on whether it will continue up or pull back further. So that's why we lock in profits before we kind of come into this 165 level. But from where we are now, that still provides a decent amount of upside. That's around 6%. And especially on a stock that's good to hold, such as Johnson & Johnson, it's definitely a trade I like the look of. Now, if it does continue down, which isn't impossible, yes, we would expect a bounce from here, but if the overall market continues pulling back, Johnson & Johnson will most likely just follow its lead and continue down with it, even though it should, or sometimes does perform better during these COVID times because they do have their vaccine. But it is one of those key names, you know, you have Moderna and you have Pfizer, which are kind of the bigger names. So you don't tend to see as good much news on Johnson & Johnson when this kind of news comes out. So if it does continue down low, we are then looking at the third deviation, and this would be considered a very low risk long, and definitely an area I'll be looking to get long. And if it does continue down, it's definitely a place I'll be adding more size into it. So 151 to kind of 150, third deviation, very low risk. You wouldn't expect it to break down lower than that. And what is quite good, you see in Johnson & Johnson, on the 4 hour, it's a bit more of a consolidated line, but on the daily, as you can see, the deviations are still facing up, and that's usually something we like when we're looking to go long, because trends tend to continue in themselves. So if the overall trend in the past year is up, it's something usually we look to get. And if we can be getting it near lows of the year, it's more likely than not, again, you're going to make money. For example, if you're buying Johnson & Johnson, a stock you believe in long term, and you're able to get it near 52 weeks, so it only makes sense really to be getting some size in there. So definitely, if it does push down further, something I'll be looking to get long. And again, all the targets are kind of on screen that we would be looking at. kind of have a max target right now of around 169, because like I said, that's going into statistical mean. So from there it could pull back, could continue higher. You don't really know. Whereas when we're at this 156 level, when we're down at, or if we go down to the 150 level, more likely than not, you've got more chance of it going up than you do down, so it makes sense to get a trade in there. Once you come into the 165 to 170 area, then you're just as likely to go up as you are down. So that's why we get out of the trade there, because it's unnecessary risk. And then if it continues higher, you know, the 177, the 175, these are areas we could start looking to short 180. These are all short levels, and if you are long, maybe more as an investment, then these can be good times to be locking in profits if you are looking to get out of the investment. So that's the overall breakdown on Johnson & Johnson. I hope that gives you some insight into the stock. Hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.